Hello, and welcome to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we candidly talk about the horror movie pick of the week and occasionally the topic du jour. Today, we're going to talk about the 2023 horror film Cobweb, directed by Samuel Bowden. My name is Whaley Hollow. With me, the notorious note taker, Nanya. Whoop, there it is. And then we have the sensational Sunchild. Ladies, it's been a minute. I feel like I say that every time. But some of these intermittent periods are getting longer and longer, it seems. But
Sadly.
the holidays are coming, so who knows?
Yep.
All right. So, like I said, we're going to talk about the 2023 film Cobweb. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk about the middle, the beginning, and the ending, but we want you to hang around with us and see if your thoughts marry any of ours. So what is this movie about? It's about a young boy named Peter who is, I'm going to say, traumatized by this thing behind the walls that continues to intensify and convinces him that his parents are evil and convinces him to take action. And with the help of his caring teacher, he eventually is able to uh, address this thing behind the wall. And I'm not going to spoil the end until we get there, but yeah, so pretty much that's what it's all about. So I'll go first. This is like the second time I've actually paid attention. First time I watched the movie, but it was more watching me. This time I actually paid attention because I knew we were going to talk about it. And I actually liked it. I thought the acting was phenomenal. How believable were they? I mean, the teacher was so caring and believable, and her expression during those moments. And the movie was very simple. Like there wasn't a lot of bells and whistles. It was just very simple. And I think that attributed to the fact that it was so daunting or haunting or whatever. I think they did such a great job. The house was old and musty, dusty looking. I felt like I could smell the wallpaper. That's how bad, that's how bad the house looked to me. But I just thought they did a really good job keeping it simple, having phenomenal actors in there. There was suspense throughout the entire film because I think the kid did such a great job. He didn't have a whole lot of dialogue, but his expressions and just the way his movements, he was such a good actor. Oh my God, thumbs up to that kid. So yeah, in a nutshell, I really liked it. So I'm going to be really excited as we walk through it.
Okay, I'll go next. I have the same reaction. I didn't love this movie. I felt like it was a lot of it that was the typical, we've seen it a million times before, but somehow it worked in this film, which is weird, and I'm surprised by that. But there was so they did to me throw the whole kitchen sink in there. Everything we've seen before, we saw again in this movie, but they just tweaked it enough to keep my attention, to keep it fresh, and there were some very effective jump scares. So I'll leave it at that until we dig into the details.
I have to agree with Whaley. The acting, like the little boy was phenomenal. I felt his fear. I felt his curiosity. I felt his emotion.
Yeah.
I thought I believed the thing in the wall. I thought the parents were evil too. Like I loved the mother, her acting was crazy to me, but it was very believable that she was evil. So I would have
Mhm.
believed that thing in the wall as well. I did not think that it was like anything else because I believed that they put something in the wall. At first I was thinking, maybe the father is psycho, abducting children or something. I mean, I had all kinds of other thoughts, but I was right along with the program of this. So when, the truth comes out, I was like, I was stunned. I love the teacher. I did feel like her expressions, she was very empathetic. She was just in tune with something going on with him. Like she picked that up before the drawing, before anything. I think she connected with him right away because she felt his loneliness. And the father, his acting was good. Not that he had like to me like a really like prominent part in the movie. He was kind of like passive, so I couldn't put my finger on. Is he like a bad guy abducting people, or is he just afraid of the wife because she just seems so evil? I really enjoyed it. I thought the acting made it like that much better than your typical horror movie where people's acting is usually not like who did this movie again? And does he have any or she have
Samuel
anything else?
Bowden. The director was Samuel Bowden. I didn't look to see
Oh,
if there was anything else.
Samuel Bowden.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump in. Let's start at the beginning, of course. Of course, they open the scene with the kids in the bed, and he hears, something on the wall knocking. I don't know if he knocked first or it knocked first, or he heard furniture moving, sound like furniture moving or something. And so he gets up and he runs to his parents' room. Were you guys surprised with who they sent down the hall with him to investigate? They're like,
Mm.
who went down the hall? It was the mom. So he went into the
Why
room.
does that surprise you though? You
Well,
said,
people thought the dad was there. Why wouldn't he? If there's something happening in the house, you would think, that you
It
would
would
think the dad
have
would probably be
except
really too far.
you if you dismiss the fact that it could be anything other than a nightmare or a child, then you're going to send the mother because the mother is better at consoling the child probably. Like let's say he's having nightmares or visions. Most people want their mom first to be consoled when they're
True. Of course.
scared, dad to protect. But if they thought there
Right.
was nothing to protect the son from, then they're like, okay, he's having a nightmare, or what do they call it when when they're awake and they have a nightmare, whatever they're called.
Sleepwalking.
Uh, yeah, something like walking nightmares, whatever it's called. Yeah, it looks like they're conscious, but they're panicking. So,
Mhm.
I
long
think
way of saying it wasn't weird to me that the mother went with the child.
I think I would have found it weird if I didn't find that she had the more dominant personality. Like I could just see her saying, "I'll take care of it." And I just felt like she was the like head of the relationship, head of the family. What she said goes. I just felt like she was more I felt like he was kind of the father was kind of afraid of her as well. I mean, I know I was. She seemed very
That is
mean.
so weird. I thought I had the exact opposite opinion of her. I thought she was submissive and she was it was almost like she was not hypnotized, but so controlled that she was kind of demure. She would do whatever he said. She was so confused that seemed like a lunatic. Like she was all over the place. But I didn't get the impression that she was making the decisions because did she make any decisions other than cooking? I don't, did she make any decisions?
I mean, just when she came storming in the room when he was trying to hide where he had been digging through the wall,
Mm.
like just her
Mhm.
presence just seemed, I don't know, maybe
She
her
was
face,
scary, no
her
doubt.
presence, she seemed like maybe not the more vocal one, but the one behind the scenes. I just took
Mm.
it like she was the one that made the decisions. That's how I felt about her. I
I
thought
didn't
she
get that impression either. I felt like they were equally evil and creepy.
they were creepy.
So,
They were
there
creepy.
you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
They were
All
creepy.
right. And so, let's see. And then so that, they dismiss the fact that the kid is frightened. And again, you guys know my pet peeve, right? His room is way down there. They did keep it's so weird. Sometimes the door was shut, sometimes it was open because I think they wanted to give you this view from down the hall into his room, even though you couldn't see much. But I thought it was kind of odd. I don't think the effect that to me anyway, the effect that they wanted to have with the light on the wall was not as effective as maybe they wanted it to be. It didn't make sense to me that he had a light shining on a wall that didn't do anything. It'd be different if like the wall moved or you know what I mean? Like when she knocked it, it troubled, but nothing. So I just didn't see the significance other than they want you to draw your attention there. But it just didn't seem feasible that he would have a light that always shined on that one spot. It just,
I agree with that. But you guys said that you felt like there wasn't, it was kind of new. I felt like this was the scene we have
ew.
seen 8 million times. Like that it wasn't like I said they kind of threw the kitchen sink in there, that we've seen all this before. I mean, that was kind of my initial reaction as well, little old creaky house from the outside. You get inside, it's the size of a mansion.
Yeah.
It's all pitch black. It's got
Yeah.
the 1960s wallpaper. I think it's
Yeah.
the same wallpaper we see in every horror movie. The kid's bedroom is the size of a 3-bedroom house. Like it just, I feel like all of that is like we've seen every piece of that part of the movie before 20 times over. Like I said, they didn't tweak it a little bit, but I feel like that's the opening scene of every horror movie, right? The kid hears something, goes to get the parent dismisses the child, the kid goes sent back across town to their bedroom,
Yeah.
said all by themselves. They're always like 5. This kid was 8. And the kid even looked like the same kid in all the movies. Bangs, brown hair, big eyes, adorable,
Adorable.
cutest kid of all time. But it's just like they were pulling us in with what we're familiar with. But I think what made them intimate, I will get to it, to me was how they kind of took us in and said, "This you've seen all this before, but you're not going to know what's going to happen after this."
Right, right.
And the whole person in the wall, like they told us up front, because we were like, we've seen this a million times too. How many times does somebody like move into a house and somebody's in the walls? But again, like I said, they got us into all those familiar tropes, and then I think they kind of twisted it as it went on. So that's what to me got my attention.
So we say that the dad was not sympathetic, although I don't believe he was. He did then say, okay, they're rats. Let's go get the rat poison. So they got the kid there handling rat poison with no gloves, no anything. I'm like, I couldn't figure out what year this movie was. I mean, they said the house was old, which implied that obviously it wasn't their time period. You know what I mean? Like they had moved into an older house, but I
Right.
could not for the life of me figure out what year this movie, it definitely wasn't 2023, or maybe it was. I don't know. I just couldn't
Yeah, it
figure out what year it
was.
was supposed to be.
I think it was supposed to be 2023.
You
Really?
think
And I say
so?
that because of school, because of the classroom. That was 2023 all the way. The teacher, the way she was dressed, all of that was 2023. Like,
Outside of the
we
house.
know what teachers
Outside.
dress like when we were kids. We know what they don't dress. Like she dressed like a modern teacher dressed. She behaved like a modern teacher. But again, I agree with you. The house was the turn of the century.
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm sorry.
I
Sunshine.
said for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so then, it's a week before Halloween. Of course, they're doing all kind of Halloween things. She's reading stories and he's drawing pictures. He draws a picture of this black room with, it almost looks like a kid in a crib, but there's this square and there's somebody there. Is it supposed to be him with the blue shirt? I couldn't tell. And the words help me. So at first I thought, I don't know who the help me was for. I didn't think it was the boy asking for help or the person. I don't know what it was for, but I guess we know the story is supposedly it was that person asking for help. But his depiction of the person, like it's interesting that that's what he drew, right? I mean, it just seemed odd that I don't know what he would draw. Like, because I wasn't sure what the picture was supposed to be.
I I didn't know. I assumed it was him in the picture saying help.
I thought it was him.
Only because he had the black figure separately from him. And there's only, if he's not the black figure, then who's the black figure? I assume that was the person in the walls. Right? Didn't he have a big black figure in the middle of the picture?
I just saw all black, something over here on a little kid on this side, and then something on the right, but I couldn't remember. Was it a window? I don't know what it was anymore. I
So
just don't
so
remember.
so you only remember seeing one figure in the picture?
I think I saw one I saw something in the middle, but it was, may have been blacker than the rest of the black, but I don't know if that was I don't know what it was. Honestly, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't decipher. So I just remember seeing the obviously contrasting colors, the blue and the black.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how I was going to try to see if I could pull it up, but that makes a big difference because I thought what I saw was the bed with somebody in the bed, which I thought was him.
Somebody at the bed.
And then there was this big black phantom shape in the middle with eyes, but nobody saw that. Was I dreaming all of that?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't tell.
Maybe
I
you
couldn't
can pull
tell.
that up. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
see if we
you
can
can
pull it
that.
up because
Yeah,
either
I
I
just
was
thought it was him in
adding,
the bed, and I saw the help me, and I was trying to figure out if he was trying to relate to her that this thing is asking for help or is he saying
Right.
help? But of course she was going to take it like he needs the help. Who's going to think that there's, anything, entity or whatever asking him for help? I don't know.
But
Yeah,
sometimes
if
I
you
do
pull
agree
that
with
up, I
you.
thought just him in the bed.
She was very intuitive. And not I'm not saying that most teachers aren't, but she was intuitive and concerned enough to as soon as she saw that, she thought, oh, I should, this is concerning.
Right.
This is
And the
concerning.
way the mother acted when, I mean, of course, people like their privacy but the way the mother acted when she came, I would be happy somebody's concerned for my child, and I would be concerned about that. She just was so mean to the son. I'm like, I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like she was wicked and he was being mistreated. I felt like the teacher did. She just seemed so mean to me.
Yeah, again, I think she was just on the edge. It just seems like she could not forgive herself for whatever it is they did or what was happening. And so this is the way it manifested itself. As it was nervous energy. It was, I got to blame somebody, not me. I just did with my husband. Like I just felt like she was just all over
Well,
the.
yeah, when the story unfolds, then I become to see why, she behaved the way she did. But
Yeah.
while I'm watching it, I'm like, what did they have going on?
Right,
What did
right,
they do to that poor person in the wall? Like, that's what I
right.
kept thinking. So I loved the way it unfolded. I loved it.
I thought it was, the furniture moving behind the walls. And then, of course, you see, anytime to me, honestly, if I see somebody running across the hallway, I'm shutting my door. But that's always scary to me. Like, what the hell? What was that? Who
Yeah.
was that?
And
That
why
that
you
is
running?
always a gotcha for me, whether it's slow motion, fast motion, just see somebody in the evening walking across like that,
Yeah.
scurrying. It's like, oh shit, something's about to happen. Let me lock this door real quick. And then, okay, so then, we know that the teacher's concerned. She goes to the house and the mom is a little dismissive. Well, and then she's shocked that why are you drawing this?
Right.
Because, they want to dismiss everything he's saying because, if they believe what he says, then they have to accept what they did or what happened, I should say. And so, I think that's why she was so angry that he drew it. And then, of course, is that when they locked him in the basement or was it when he pushed the kid down the stairs? I can't remember which one, when he got expelled.
I think that's when they locked him.
Yeah, I think that was his punishment, I thought.
Because in the dad, what a hypocrite. He says, we don't solve disputes with violence. By the way, get your ass in the basement.
Right?
Here's the chain. Like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah,
I'm
that was
sorry, I missed the message here. Are we violent or are we not violent? But yeah, they just locked him down there.
yeah.
And I'm surprised when they first, without the chains, he didn't run right after them and turn that light on. Because, he's in the dark. They'd
Yeah.
have to come down that cellar every 10 minutes because that light would be on.
Exactly. And I would be causing a ruckus down there. I would not just
Yeah.
be quiet, that's for sure.
And then, please tell me. So then you got the basement, and then there's a basement to the basement. And
Right.
to Nunya's point, there's probably a subway system down there. Like, what is going on?
And the Underground Railroad connected to it.
I mean, for real, if you do ever go back and look at the outside of the house.
I
I know. It
know.
looks this big.
Thank you. That's why I'm like, yeah, we've seen this
Yep.
before. Yes,
Yeah.
that house was this big,
Yeah.
but it had, like you said, it had 8 stories, an
Yes, and
elevator,
his
multiple
room was,
things.
the size of a
And
living
we
room
know those
kitchen
houses, the
combo.
rooms are the size of a small closet today. Like
Right.
we know. And that
Yeah.
includes, the closet. So,
That's what, right, right, exactly. Yeah, I
but
mean,
it looked
older
like it was
houses were big, but they should have definitely made the outside seem, like it could have held all of those rooms and two basements. It didn't surely didn't look like that.
it definitely did not look like that. But like I said, we know that he gets bullied at school for whatever reason, I don't even know. And I don't know if it's because they thought, because the story that they told him was, because he wanted to go trick-or-treating. The parents said, no, you can't go trick-or-treating because something happened to the girl. So down the street, there's a house, something happened to the girl. So he can't go trick-or-treating. So he's getting bullied at school. But it just seemed like, and I couldn't understand why he was getting bullied at school unless the people at school thought that his family had something to do with it. Or maybe they just didn't like him. We know people just bully people because.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like, as she's telling the story, he's getting bullied. I'm thinking, well, was it because they thought, his family had something to do with that?
Did they even know about it?
Well, yeah, because the teacher said to the substitute that, something, remember, because when she came to the house, she said, oh, I'm sorry about what happened. Oh, but she could have been, yeah, I think the principal told her. Because when she
I
went to
wasn't
the
sure if
house,
the
she
other
got in
students
trouble.
knew, but the
Mm-mm.
other students knew?
I'm assuming if something happens in your neighborhood, you know.
Okay, fair enough. But if something
Mhm.
happened before he moved in, I guess I was unclear on the timing of it.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe he was just
yeah.
weird and they wanted to just put that on him. You know what I
Maybe.
mean?
I mean, they were
I
just.
mean, it definitely seemed like the time frame, like outside might have been 2003 and inside their house was like the
was
70s.
was
What were they
1903.
eating? Porridge? Like, what was that?
Oh my God.
It looked disgusting. I'm like, what is this? What is this? I
Looked
have no
like
idea.
gray mush. I
It
don't know.
it
Ugh.
definitely looked awful. I'm like, it didn't really look like soup. It didn't really
It didn't
look
look like
like food.
anything.
It didn't look like anything. I mean, I don't know what
No.
that was. It was
I'd rather eat the poison. Like, what are you feeding me? If this is
yeah,
if this is dinner, yeah, give me
it
some
was
of that rat poison over there.
yeah,
Like,
it was
it was
definitely strange. But I
it
mean,
was strange.
the way the mother dressed. I mean, I don't know if I really even paid attention to what the father had on, but the way the mother dressed, I mean, even the fact that they moved in there and they weren't trying to, they had to have been there for a while because the thing in the wall is not a baby
Right.
anymore.
Was
And they
born
never
there.
did anything with that
Yeah.
wallpaper or anything. I'm like, what? Just
And you're right. Did you see their bed? Did you see the parents' bed?
yeah.
All they had was a sheet. No bedspread, no, just a
Nothing.
sheet.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks like a prison bed. What are you guys doing? Like,
Yeah, they didn't upgrade anything, and
they didn't squander on anything,
yeah,
like
nothing.
anything. They didn't spend money on anything.
Now probably just trying to heat that monstrous house. Just
That's it.
That's exactly
That's
what I was
it.
thinking. I was like, that's where their money goes to.
That's where their money goes.
yeah, because it's probably drafty as well. So
Oh, well, the fact that the basement is behind the refrigerator, like,
I
no
mean, at least
way.
they had the courtesy to put the refrigerator in front of the door so as not to scare the guests.
right, well that's true. That's
I'm like, oh my God, talk about a creepy house. Let's go in the basement.
I was reading to see if maybe, maybe it was set in a different era, but it doesn't, from the description, it apparently is current.
yeah. So I
But
that's
I was going
probably
to say, I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, that's probably why he got picked on the house and the whole like weird parents and all that.
I was going to
And
say,
he
your
seemed
parents
so
are really weird.
Mm.
You're probably presenting weird at school. Do you know what I mean? Like that, usually weird
Mhm.
kids. And, he was a little bit of a loner. And,
right,
that's why
right.
I think the teacher gravitated towards him. She could see he was a little bit of a loner, a little bit weird. So I felt like that was kind of why he was bullied, not because of, now it might, I hadn't thought about the fact that somebody had died in his house and maybe all the kids knew about it because that would certainly set him up for failure. But you would think that the teacher would have been aware of that when she, started the class versus kind of halfway through that they would say, hey, there's a student in your class. I don't know. I don't know how it works,
Yeah,
but I
we
would
didn't
hope
get
that
that.
they would pass that.
Yeah, I didn't get any information when I was teaching about students.
Okay, fair enough. Then I guess they wouldn't say, okay.
Well, one thing
Yeah,
he
I don't
did
know.
say to her, right? First of all, she was disciplined for going to this house. There's no way you go to a parent's house. And he said, you oh, is he showing signs of bruises? Is he talking about sexual things that he shouldn't be talking about? And he said one other thing. That's the only reason why in his head you would get involved. He said otherwise you need to stay out of it. I was like, oh my God.
See,
Yeah.
that's why I knew. That's why it felt contemporary. Remember I said everything about her at school felt contemporary. That felt like 2023. Like, don't get involved for litigation purposes versus, older
Care for the
generation.
child. Yeah.
Well, knowing the schools, the community being smaller, it not being weird to go and follow up with the child. Like today, you might show up at a parent's house saying your child is acting weird and could end up getting shot. I felt like it was a sign of the times that there were certain rules around don't, you know, overstep.
That's true. That's very true.
But
And
yeah, I thought, go ahead.
no, I was say it is true. And the things you guys are saying, it's almost like what Sunchild said. Outside, it's 2023. Inside, it was 1903. Like it, and to your point, Nanya, like as soon as the two eras, merged at that front door, you could see 2023 versus,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
To me, seemed
Right.
like 1903. But yeah, it's just very interesting. And
Yeah.
little Peter stuck in the middle thinking, what the hell is going on?
I mean, it makes sense that the house was kind of, if given what the parents did. The one thing that was unclear to me was how long ago was it? Because I was thinking when I saw the girl in the woman, not even a girl, when I saw the grown woman in the walls, I thought, well, this is a grown woman. So this ain't no teenager, this ain't no kid. So how long ago did this happen? But if the parents did do something horrific like that, it would make sense to me that they would kind of keep the house um, like sealed from the outside, right?
In
Not
what
letting people.
sense? Oh, you mean, well, they did
Yeah.
invite her in.
Huh?
They did invite her in.
Well, they did, but I'm saying in general,
Mhm.
you're going to isolate yourself from other
Yeah.
people. You're not going
Right.
to
They wouldn't want to
invite
have
them.
contractors there doing the walls and floors and stuff when
Oh,
they got
Exactly.
gotcha.
everything.
You're not
But
hosting the Christmas dinner because she
Right.
might knock on the walls. So your
Right.
house is kind of enshrined in whatever era that happened to that girl. But how old did you all? Because the parents look like they were in the 40s, but that was a teenage, that was a grown woman in the
I do think she was younger. I just think
was she?
that was part of the reason they did that. I think when they birthed her, she was like a monster.
I mean,
So
did you see the face though?
I did see the face, but they have that disease where they're 5 and they look 50, they age 10 years or whatever that.
But are you
Her
saying
body
look
was
like
a
a
grown.
clown? Like she just didn't even, it wasn't that she looked old. Her face just, everything was just like, it was like, look,
Yeah.
a clown? What's happening here?
That was this one of the things I hated about it was the CGI. The CGI was horrible. She looked as if I would draw a woman who was part woman, part caterpillar. Not caterpillar, part like ladybug or something, right? Am I lying? It was like draw a cricket, a woman who's a cricket. Like that's who I would draw. She had the
I
cricket
wish they
eyes,
hadn't showed
she had
her
the cricket
face.
arms.
I was loving it until they showed the face.
Yeah, I'm like, and they
Oh,
still the close up, put that in the dark. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
keep that in the
What are
dark.
you
Let's keep
doing?
that in the dark. I mean, but she did have long gray hair, but I mean, this thing has never had sunlight. This thing has never had, the vitamin D or what were they feeding her in that wall, that porridge stuff that they were eating. I mean, I don't think she was going to look good, but they should not have shown that face. And yeah, the super
certainly
long
wouldn't.
arms and all that, that kind of like tainted
And
it
at
for.
some scenes, she looked, to Nanya's point, her body looked younger, and then other scenes she looked older. It's like, what is she, a teenager or is she in her 30s? Like,
Yeah. Oh,
what is
I
she
just
supposed to be?
I just had no sense of how long it had happened prior. That
Yeah,
was
that's
bugging me when I saw her face. I was like,
yeah. I mean, I had just taken it like the story that she told.
Oh,
When I
she's
was born,
9.
they were horrified, and she came out at 10 years old or whatever. When she was born, they were horrified. They weren't pleased. And then when she watched from the wall the birth of him, how excited they were for him. So I just took it like she was born. When they gave birth to her, you could see that she was this deformed, like monster caterpillar cricket, some kind of weirdly aged and formed
so this is
baby.
going to sound horrible, but if you gave birth to something like that you did not want,
Mm.
You see where I'm going with it, right?
I
I'm
do.
saying,
Listen,
but
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's equally horrible to just let it live in the walls.
that's
Oh,
worse.
yeah.
Like you
Alternative might have been better.
put it up for adoption or something. It's
Thank you.
worse to put it
Drop it
behind the
off
walls.
somewhere.
Like, come on.
No matter what century they were in, you could have gave it
There's
to
no
some
reason.
agency and they would have did something with it, and then you could be done. You don't have to know what happened to it or anything else. Just yeah, but putting it in
We
the
know it
wall
was
is
this century.
definitely
We know it was this century. We know the parents were in their 40s. I mean, they weren't 140, right?
right,
True.
right.
So
True.
she
Yeah,
had that baby in the last 30 years, unless she was 10. So you know what I mean? It's like, come on, we know it was
yeah. Well, that was
You have
also
options. Come on.
like they put it in the cage in the base they put it in a cage in the basement, but then they act so like how is something on the wall? Like you don't think this thing got out? Like I mean, they acted so like there's nothing in the wall.
Like, yeah,
I would
like
have went
you
and
see
checked on this thing, like maybe it got out.
where she saw the hole
I
in
would have put
the
the poison in there and killed the thing if you're that worried about it.
Well, this is true. This is
I
true,
guess that's what I'm
right?
saying.
right?
It's like you're a
This is
horrible
true.
person.
Yep.
You really think it's better to treat
Right.
this human
Yeah,
being
Right.
like this,
Torture them.
or
Like
instead give them
torture.
up for
right.
adoption,
Right. Right.
Or just kill it off. Yeah,
put
just
it out of its misery.
I just don't understand why putting it behind the wall because, like you said, you know it's there.
yeah,
And then when she finally saw the hole in the wall, he had torn the hole in the wall, and the mother saw it. She was like crippled, walking
yeah,
down the wall, like, oh my
yeah,
God. You know what I
right.
mean? I thought she
Like
was a
it got
mime.
out
She's
and all
walking
that.
down the wall, like, oh my God. And then she's feeling the whole wall down the hallway, like, where is it? You
Right,
know where it is. You put it in the wall. And if you don't, shame on you because you must have been feeding it to your point. Like, and there's no
right. Had to
back.
be
So
feeding
what's
it. Yeah,
happening?
had to be feeding it. And
Parents were deviants.
I mean, I just when she finally divulged her plan, because she did seem like, they put me in here, they mean to me, the crying. I might have felt for the okie
It's
doke
all
as
true,
well.
though. That was
Right,
all true. A
right. But
payback's
then
a
when
bitch, right?
when
So
she
she
got
was
out
like,
and she was like, now you're getting it because it's all your fault. Like they loved you and not
yeah,
me. Like
that was,
but I'm like, she knew like a
yeah.
lot of language for somebody who's been, behind the wall. She definitely had a lot of like thought process, like to get him to poison them. She wasn't stupid back there in them
Well, I
walls.
mean, we don't know how, again, to Nunya's point, she was probably 15 when the girl came for trick-or-treating and saw her and they put her behind the wall. You know what I mean? I don't get the impression that she was, who knows? So she probably lived a long time and was kind of hidden until
Yeah,
for
she
some
may have.
reason, none of that made sense to me.
No,
Right?
when I just watched it, I have to say I really liked it. I enjoyed it. When we break it down to like the foolishness of some of it,
Yeah.
it's not so great. But I
It's
find that
still good. I mean, I still think they did a great job with the acting. That's not
the acting was definitely great. And I was definitely stunned because I thought it was something with the parents. I didn't think she was like this hideous monster until, it came out. And who were the kids? Okay, so the boy that got pushed down the stairs came. He was with like grown adults. Who was he
his
with?
brothers, or at least one of them was his brother.
I'm like, nobody has to like, okay, so they didn't know that the parents weren't going to be there, right?
Right.
So they just come
Right.
busting in this house with baseball bats. I mean, you could have got shot because
Not
like
only that, again, if it's 2023, right? And how no one in the neighborhood is going to see this gang of kids at the door talking about,
yeah,
come out. Don't come
yeah,
to my door. You know what? If you have 5 kids coming to your door with baseball bats talking about come out,
right,
that would
yeah,
be the last Halloween. Like, come on.
yeah,
Especially again, but behind that wall,
right.
last
It was
century.
like the purge. I'm like, they're not
Yeah.
concerned. Like, why these people with the masks are coming
And
banging on the
no
doors?
one
And
in the
he's a little
neighborhood
boy. Like,
cared. Like
you
it
just
was,
put the bats down and let them fight it out. Like, seriously. But I don't know. It was wild. And she got them, and that part I liked. I'm like, they're bullies. Go get them. So she served a little purpose.
yeah, she definitely got them.
When that part of the movie, I thought to myself, again, it kind of just reminded me of other movies where mass strangers, or not mass, but mass people show up and then they kind of get their comeuppance eventually.
Yeah.
So when I saw them show up with all those masks on, I knew all 3 of them.
Of course.
Because I was like, we've seen this before.
They were
And
going.
sure enough, they got. and I was not sad about it.
Oh, no, they were bullies and they deserved to get got. Like they picked the right time to come there. And I was happy that the teacher went back, despite the fact that she was disciplined to not go back. And I love that she, even after she saw what was going on, she was determined to get the little boy out of there. Because I might have said like, "You people are too weird for me. I don't know what's going on in that house. Don't get out of here."
Well, that part I thought was okay. I got to suspend, my disbelief for a minute for the movie to proceed. But why wouldn't you just call the police? Why didn't she call the police? Why doesn't anyone ever call for help?
Yeah.
And it
When
could have
when the
been,
father was acting weird and she saw the blood on the like, to me at that point, I'm like, I'm dialing 911 in my pocket. Like
Yeah.
I just didn't understand why and you
They
can still
never did.
proceed, to investigate, but you would hope that backup was coming.
Mhm.
And she just kind of like, there was so many, even if she didn't think anything was happening to the child, she knew the father was acting weird and strange.
Right.
she knew the mom was acting weird and strange.
She sure did. And so it was just kind of like, I don't know, you gotta
But the
go to
principal,
somebody's house, have a backup plan. Like,
hello.
you know,
And then she
Sure.
heard the thumping, thumping, thumping. And, she saw that the washing machine was not moving. It was still thumping. What's that noise? The washing machine. And then it starts up. It's like, come on, girl, you were looking at the washing machine. You know it wasn't running. Get out of that house and
Oh,
forget about this kid. Or like you said, dial 911 on the way out. Have
yeah.
people who can handle this come
Yeah.
in.
Right. Have somebody else.
Do your
call
part.
911.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're in there with no backup, no nothing. Yeah.
No, nothing. And in a house that goes on for blocks.
Right, right, right.
Even if you wanted to get out, like you would need
A good
Yeah.
head
A
start.
bike,
Good
a
head
bike,
start.
a scooter, or something. Need public transportation. Get me to the back door.
Better get you a bus pass. Get on that
get
double
a
dutch.
bus transfer to go from one side of the house to the next.
Seriously, seriously. Yeah,
I don't know. God bless her for proceeding, but I was definitely
yeah,
like, okay, lady, come on now.
yeah.
You're too smart for that. You are too smart for that. But
Mhm.
what did you? So we talked a little bit about the jump scares, but obviously there's the two big jump scares. I don't know which ones which ones got you, but obviously the mother running got me.
Into the bedroom. That's always
Even though you anticipated it,
that's
even though they
always a
showed it in the
gotcha.
preview
Mhm,
a
Right.
billion times,
Mhm.
mhm.
I thought
Yeah.
that they timed it differently in the actual movie because I had seen it in the previews, and so I was expecting it to be a lot faster.
Mm.
Like but in the movie, the actual movie, it was like it went black, and then it lasted maybe a second or two longer than I expected, and then that's what caught me.
Mm.
And then the father standing in the corner.
Nope.
Exactly. Nope. You know how I feel about people standing in corners. Come out and
That's your
talk to
thing
me.
right there.
Come out and talk to me. Don't
That's your
stand over
thing.
there.
So like, was it his imagination or was the father really there?
I think he was really
I
there.
think he was
Yeah,
really
hell
there.
no. I would have been barefoot and half naked running up the block.
Yeah, I'd have been out. I definitely would have been out. Yeah, there was a lot of things that would have made me run for sure. I mean,
No.
the thing in the wall, she really manipulated him, and I think it was so easy because the parents were so distant. They weren't
Right.
loving. They weren't like he couldn't go to them and talk to them. The
Right.
teacher was the nicest thing in his life. The kids were mean to him.
Right.
So it was believable that he would be able to fall for this thing in the wall telling him this story. I mean,
Yeah.
he went from being afraid of it to being like empathetic and wanting to free it.
That's if
And
he thought it was his sister. Honestly, if I heard somebody talking in the wall, I'd be in the corner sucking my thumb, rocking like, what is going on? Am
quickly,
I crazy? Because something is happening here. I want out. Just
yeah,
put me in a
something
mental institution. I want out.
quickly. Yes, definitely.
I want
Although,
out.
I know my family, so I'd probably be like, you should have took the rest of these crazy people.
And then
They're
he
in the
saw,
wall too.
and then he saw the
How did you
eye.
just choose
Like once
one?
he saw the eye in the hole, I would have been like, okay, there's
Yeah.
somebody back there. I really need to go now. I've been actually talking to someone.
Oh, and say even before he saw the eye, he heard the voice, so he knew.
Yeah, you heard the voice, but you could maybe say that's in your head. But
Mhm.
once you see an eye, that's
Yeah.
when it's like,
I
and then she
think
said, how come
so.
that hole in the wall? Like, come on, we know as old as a house is, every rat, spider, ant would have come through there like that. Well, what kind of wallpaper was that? Was it cloth? Because nothing, like it didn't tear or anything. What's happening? All
Both
of a
walking
sudden,
around.
there's a hole in the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. But that house was so old. I mean, that hole could have occurred, 250 years ago, and somebody just discovered it because they did used to put wallpaper on top of wallpaper on top of wallpaper on top of
Right.
wallpaper.
Oh yeah, they never
So
took anything
Oh,
down. It was
yeah.
just
never,
layer,
never
Oh,
layers.
yeah. Oh,
rat.
yeah.
Then put panel over it, then put wallpaper on top of the
And
panel.
then
Just
paint on top of that. Yep.
right.
Yep.
Drop ceilings were just dropped. They never like actually took the ceiling out or anything. It was just the whole, yeah, madness.
As we're talking, I think that's one of the things that I think the movie was lacking, which was just some better explanation as to what triggered the girl now, right? Okay, she was jealous when the kid was born. Well, he's 8 now. Where have you
Right.
been for 8 years? And then how did they even get to like the parents putting her behind the wall? Like
Mm.
not
Yeah,
that
I wish there was some more of that story. Like when did they, as soon as she was born, did they know she was gonna be this like thing? Was she like 2 or 3 or five? Like what was the transition? And yeah, where has she like did she just get out of this cage? I mean, I don't know.
you
There were
know
a
what?
lot of questions.
She couldn't have been in the wall that long, right? Because everybody knew there was a girl, they didn't say a baby, a girl who disappeared from the neighborhood. So
Right.
she was of age,
That's what I'm
right?
saying. She was
Yeah, that's what I'm
literally,
saying. That's why it makes no sense. Like what transpired that suddenly they put her behind the wall? And was she looking like that when she was walking the streets?
and
Yeah,
and I
really.
guess
I yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I presume she looked normal because
See,
that would be the first part of the story you would tell.
I don't know why I didn't think that she was the girl that was missing. I thought
Oh,
right.
oh,
No,
oh,
she's not
maybe
the girl
she
that was
I
wasn't.
thought there
missing.
was a neighborhood girl that really went missing. That's why I thought, the father and has something to do with putting this person behind the wall.
Well, wait
And
a
then I
minute.
was thinking maybe she got out, or maybe she was trick or
Wait a
treating, or
minute.
maybe she had this like evil thing and she hurt someone else. I
Wait
don't
a
know.
minute.
I didn't think it was one and the same.
The story was that a trick-or-treater came to their door. The little girl saw the other girl, was afraid. They dragged her in,
Oh,
and
that's
the,
the
the
story.
scary looking girl or the parents killed her, buried her in the backyard.
Oh,
Got
that's
it.
what he
That's
saw
right.
when
That's
he
right.
got
Because
the
that was a
punch. When he
skeleton
was,
in the backyard. You're right.
Yes,
I forgot. So they did explain it to us. Okay.
okay, all right, yeah, I forgot about that
right,
part. But then I remember he had to bury it back quick before the mother came outside,
right,
Yeah.
and
right,
he just said
right.
he
That
was going
makes
to
sense then.
hide him.
So she always
But
looked deformed. She always looked weird
she always
from
looked
birth.
weird because
And they
that's what they
kept her
said.
hidden. And then once
Why
they had
though?
that,
Because she was weird
it's
before the girl came to the door. So they got rid of the girl. Why do they still need to
So
hide?
maybe they were just
because
afraid,
that came too close. They probably had always hid her. And then
right?
they had a slip up that night where somebody
Yeah,
on the outside saw her.
right, and they
So they covered
realized,
that up. They didn't want to have to kill everybody who accidentally saw the daughter, so they hid the daughter.
right.
That's
Because
what it was. So they hit her more.
I was thinking she was walking like a normal human being until she was like, let's say she was 13, I don't know, 8, however, 9, however age she was. So when she was in the wall, then she became this like spider thing. Like, and how did her hair get that long? I mean, I know people's hair grow long, but it's not gonna grow. You're not gonna be Rapunzel in 5 years. You know what I mean? Her hair was like Rapunzel length.
I know, because I'm getting sunlight and
And
mine's not
so,
growing like that. I'm like,
But it's still just strange to me that just they didn't explain like what happened. How did they
right.
give birth to this thing, and then how did they make the weird decision? I understand the decision to hide her from the public because maybe they don't want to deal with that issue.
Right.
But then, but it is extreme to then kill somebody who saw her, number one, and then
yeah,
continue to keep her
that's
behind,
definitely
Right. Get
extreme.
over it.
hide
Could have
her
been a
from her
Halloween makeup.
brother.
Could have been Halloween makeup.
Well,
It
yeah,
absolutely could have been.
They
And
could have said, you know what I
plus,
mean? Unless she attacked, well, that doesn't even make sense. But again, I
It's a
don't know.
big hole in the story that
There's
just
a
didn't
whole,
It would have been nice if they had explained that. It would have made
yeah,
it a little better.
yeah,
Like watching it though, I really enjoyed watching it. I really did. I didn't see a lot of I didn't think it was going to be an evil like caterpillar monster thing. And I liked it.
it just makes you
I
wonder,
liked that
like,
she was. I liked that
how did
she
it
wanted.
evolve to that though? I mean, we know this was just unless she was always like that. I'm assuming she wasn't, because when the teacher was hitting her and they were knocking her down to the cellar, she just looked like a normal person. Like you know what I mean? She wasn't doing all this crazy
Yeah,
later stuff. She was just on the floor, kind of blocking her head.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, her body was a regular person's body. It was her eyes, and we said the eyes and the mouth were just distorted in a weird,
yeah.
Right.
unnecessary way.
I
Right.
But
mean, that's not enough to, I mean,
yeah, so it was like,
that was
and then
extreme. It's just extreme
it
for me.
was extreme. And to have parents do something that extreme, I feel
Right.
like, give us a nugget. Did we miss it?
Right.
Did we miss
Right.
it? Did they explain to us
Right.
why they
Yeah.
did it?
Or maybe
Right.
she was just
Maybe
maybe
she
she
was
was
evil.
evil. Yeah, maybe she
Maybe.
had done things, but there should have been an explanation of that. Like
Right.
maybe towards the end, like a booklet or diary or something that explained, why they would do that. Because yeah, I mean, you don't just put your kid in the wall because they look different or they have a deformity or something. I mean, it's just weird. And if she was getting picked on or whatever, that's like the worst thing. Like just shatter the whole, confidence or whatever. Like the people picking on you are wrong, not you for being, different and stick you in a cage in the basement. I mean, it's just she had to be wicked of some sort. But it would have been nice to have an
But
explanation.
and if she, even if she was, let's say they gave birth to this person who has some weird visual deformities, and she turns out, as she's, because you wouldn't know it when she was a baby, let's say she does turn out to be evil. Well, they were evil as well. Were they evil before they gave birth to her, or did they
Right.
become evil after she became evil? Like
Yeah.
they were clearly some sick parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Clearly.
so yeah, it was because it was so important to the whole story. It would have helped to have had a little bit more explanation to buy into it, because then you're kind of like, all right, it's a good enough movie. It's enjoyable. I would call it a date night horror movie. It wasn't overly frightening. Definitely nothing to like analyze here. It was pretty much what you saw. And so in that sense, it was fine, but it would have, it could have elevated itself a little bit more if they had given us some explanation as to, what happened with the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
even if they had just given us a year, so we could in our head understand, is this girl 30 or is she 13? Like, you know what I mean? We're guessing because we don't know, but we do, to your point, we do know the parents look like they're probably in their 40s, so she can't be that
Right.
old. And to
And
your
I would have,
point,
yeah.
when he was growing up, where was she? Did she finally just dig her way to his room? Like, did they keep moving him around? Maybe how long was she in the wall? Was it a year? You know what I mean? Because that would, if it were a year, you could say, okay, maybe she just figured out how to dig her way to his room. But then
Well, the
she
house is pretty
said,
big. It might have taken her a while to get there.
right? But then she said, I saw them doting over you and I got upset. So, okay, so then you saw him as a baby, but maybe she wasn't behind the walls then.
Right.
And as a baby, he wouldn't really know,
Wouldn't remember probably either.
right? I have no clue.
Yeah. All they needed was a 10-second
Something.
flashback, two flashbacks. Flashback
Yeah.
to the girl Halloween treating, trick-or-treating that day.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been a great flashback to see this
Right.
little girl look over and see somebody who looks like they have on a mask but doesn't. That would
Right.
have been frightening. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
they would have had a simple flashback to whatever 5-second decision those parents made to put her behind the wall.
Right.
And it would have taken the movie from, okay, throwaway, don't take it seriously, to, oh, this is, they actually gave it some thought. Because it's
Yeah.
a big glaring hole.
It is a hole,
It
but I
is a
still,
whole.
Hmm?
It is
I
a whole.
still
And I
liked
was
it.
trying to figure out the name Cobweb. Is it because she was kind of walking like a spider, or is it because she lived behind the wall and the assumption is there are cobwebs back there?
I think it was the two. She was starting to look like a spider because of the hair and the crawling.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then the fact that, yeah, she's kind of lived in the cobwebs of the
Yeah.
house, so to
And I
speak, in
think
our.
also it was like, webs are entangled and, you know, confusing. And I think so is the story. So, it kind of webbed and like really you couldn't find a connection. Where's the connection?
So at the very end of the movie, and I have to try to remember this. So the teacher goes in there, she gets him, they go to run out for some reason, somehow they're separated on a two-step porch. But somehow between that door and those two steps, they got separated. She ends up close to the street and he's standing there right with his hair pulled up in the corner. But did he ever, like, at the end, you could hear the sisters saying, no matter where you go, no matter what happens, I'm gonna be with you. So did they make it out of the house? Does anyone remember them seeing them get out of the house together?
I hated the ending.
I didn't
What
understand
was
the
the
ending.
ending? Okay,
I didn't understand the ending.
what
I
was
hated
the
the
ending?
ending. I wanted clarity and there was none.
Oh, yeah, there was no clarity.
There
Right.
was none.
There was
I feel like her saying that to him made it sound like he got out, but at the same time, she's saying like you're going to be in this like prison no matter where you are because you're always going to think of me. You're part of me.
Right.
I'm part of you. We're siblings. But I hated it because you had to guess. You had to guess like what happened. Did he get out? Did she drag him? Because if I'm the teacher, I'm not going back in there. I get you one shot
Yeah,
to
one
get
chance.
out.
That's right.
One shot. If you don't make it, we're done here because you beat that thing down once and it got in that hole. I mean, I don't know how it even got out again to get you, but I'm not going back in.
Right.
So I honestly, I hated the ending. I really liked the movie. I was stunned to find out that this thing was really not like trying to, you know, be a sister to him and just be free. She was trying to put him in that cage and let him know, she was blaming him for what had happened to her and getting him to, kill the parents and do her bidding and all that. I didn't like the ending at all. I'm like, what is the purpose of this? Like, what is happening here? How is she going to live? No one's going to take care of her. What's she going to do? She can't go out looking like that. I wouldn't think so, unless she's just going to try to kill everybody. I hated the ending. There was no clarity for me.
Yeah.
It could have went so many like better directions in the end, and it didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what happened. I'm gonna assume that he got out and because they showed him in a bed, but I don't know if that was his old bed. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm just gonna assume that he got out. Hopefully he did. I know it's a movie, but hopefully he did get out. He's not responsible for two deaths and not knocking a kid down the steps, but whatever, it's TV, right?
And I'm like, yeah, what is going to happen? Because the sister said in front of the teacher, you killed our parent. So does the teacher now, is she now curious about like, should I have empathy for him or is he not, who I think he is? Is he a murderer? Did he kill the parents? I mean, I don't know. I would be like, I'm getting out of here. Y'all are both weird. I'm leaving right now. That's it. I don't know. I
Yeah,
have
it's like you ain't getting paid enough for that. It's
No,
time to call in
not
the
a substitute
authorities.
teacher, please.
It's time to call in the authorities. Stop trying to solve it all.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. So I really liked it, but I hated the ending. It left too many like open ends for me. I like a little closure.
Yeah, I was just reading the background or a synopsis of it, and
Yeah.
I guess it said that the it said years ago, so it doesn't actually say when it was, but I'm
Nobody
getting
knows.
the. Yeah, I know. We already knew it was years ago. I thought there was something in here that maybe gave me an idea of the timing, but no, it doesn't actually. It just says years ago. Never mind.
Yeah, and years means different.
Oh, and the trick or treater had tried to help Sarah.
Ah,
Well,
oh,
where'd that come from? Because the
yeah.
only person who could attest to that was, quote, is Sarah the girl that behind the wall?
Yeah.
Is Sarah, and her story was, no, I'm sorry, who told the story? The mom. Wait, who actually told that story?
Can you read, is there synopsis long? I mean, synopsis should be just short. Is it just like a paragraph or something? Could you read it?
Yeah, it literally just said, it didn't say anything more than that, other than it said, after Peter is released from the basement, the voice explains that she is Peter's older sister, Sarah, whom their parents locked away after deciding they didn't want her anymore. Carol and Mark had chosen Halloween as the day to imprison her. And the girl who went missing years ago had been a trick-or-treater they murdered after she attempted to help Sarah. She tells Peter to go and see what their parents buried in the garden, and he uncovers the skull of the young girl there.
So the parents murdered. This is someone's synopsis. So the parents murdered the girl because the girl was trying to help Sarah. So
according to Sarah,
this girl, according to Sarah.
Well, according to the synopsis, but this synopsis reads as if it's Sarah telling the story. Because she says, because she went to help Sarah, and Sarah tells Peter to go and see what their parents buried in the garden, and he uncovers the skull of the young girl there.
Okay. But that doesn't even sound, I mean, honestly, if I'm, and this is going to sound mean, if I'm a young kid trick-or-treating and I see something really disturbing at the door.
Oh, you know, it goes without saying.
I'm not helping you.
It goes
We already know Sam.
I would say it's not horrible. That's the only logical thing to do. It really is. It's the only logical thing to do. You're a little kid. What can you do but go tell? The best I can do is to survive that.
That's it.
Make tell everybody to call the police because somebody's being abused in their house. That's the best you can do.
I don't know how many times you've told us if something's there, you love us dearly, but we ain't smart enough to run. You made that clear.
That's it.
Yeah, that little girl was thinking. I don't know what she was thinking.
No, heck
bravery.
No.
Especially
it's different if you saw, like, you know, even if I saw the parents abusing, so I'm too young. I'm not going to really do anything but run.
Tell my parents.
If you're frightening looking, I can't even in my mind think help that person. I'm thinking run, right? Just help yourself and just tell the whole world not to go there. Like, I'm not going to be.
You know what didn't make sense? We're just what you said just made me realize. Right. If the neighborhood knew that a girl had gone missing, but if the neighborhood associated that house with the girl going missing, why did the police never search? Because her skull was buried 2 inches under the
not even
2 inches.
Not even. It was just right under a pumpkin, like it.
Right, and that was it. And that was it. A couple leaves,
which is only there for 2 months out of the year.
Right.
At the time,
you could see it. And that was it. And that was it. A pumpkin, a few leaves, and 2 inches of dirt. And I'm like, come on now. I mean, if he found it, if she only said, go in the backyard and look. I mean, he like beelined right for this spot. The yard,
he tripped over it because it was exposed. We know the skull was not buried. It was exposed. He tripped.
At all. They weren't trying to hide nothing except for this thing in the wall. And even that they didn't do a good job at. But yeah, I mean, why didn't they put the bones in the basement or in the wall or something? Why didn't they put her down there and give her a little
For real.
I don't know.
That would have made more sense.
Made more sense because it was definitely not in the ground. That's for sure. It was just under some leaves. And as we know, that's only fall and maybe winter.
Do we want to hear somebody's explanation of the ending?
Yeah. Please.
Okay.
See if we agree or if we can come to the same conclusion.
Right. Might help me get some clarity.
Yes. So what happened to the girl who vanished on Halloween? We learned that Peter's not allowed to go trick-or-treating because his parents are afraid he might go missing. Their concern originates from the disappearance of a young girl who lived down the street 4 years prior to Cobweb's.
Where'd 4 come from? So already I can't believe this person.
Well, I'm assuming that somebody has got like the like the press packet or whatever that explains it, or maybe they talked to, saw an interview with the director. Like, we're just going by what we see. I mean, there's ways to find out what their intention is or what that was in the script. You know what I mean? So I don't know that I would necessarily. Well, this is Collider. You can it's a pretty popular movie website, but they could be wrong. They generally, I would imagine, have gotten it from somewhere though. So that's not the whole truth though. Peter's parents were the ones who abducted the girl, killed her, and buried her body in the yard. During Halloween, okay, we know that Peter's sister managed. Oh, during Halloween, Peter's sister managed to escape her prison, crossing paths with the girl who had come to the house to ask for candy. Okay, we knew that
Okay.
part.
And trick or treating by herself with no parents and no other kids.
No, it sounds like she came out from behind the wall. She escaped, and the kid was at the doorbell, and she must have been in the background. The kid must have. It just still doesn't make sense. What
Yeah,
kid?
no, I'm saying the kid is trick or treating by herself. Like, who goes trick or treating by themselves?
Lots of kids do.
Really?
At a
I was
certain age.
terrified on
So
Halloween.
then,
I mean, I loved
you have
Halloween,
to-
but I was terrified of it.
Depends on the neighborhood, I think, and it depends. Like, I mean, I don't know about this house because the it looks scary from the outside, but
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Huh.
right.
But did they explain like what happened at the end?
Yes, I was trying to get to, and I guess this is the explanation. I thought it was going to tell us something that we didn't already know. But let's jump down to okay. Peter and Miss Divine escape his sister's wrath by joining forces and luring her to the basement. We're all on board about that part. Okay. There, Peter manages to lock his sister in the pit his father had built many years before. It seems like a happy ending, but the sister tells Peter that the case won't be enough to hold her down. She will eventually escape, and when she does, she'll finish the job and kill him. So Peter should be watching for moving shadows for the rest of his life. That's the ending. This is what they're talking about. That's the explanation.
They showed.
I would say that wasn't an explanation.
That's the movie.
I would say, yeah, that didn't explain it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well,
That wasn't
I
an
guess-
explanation. That was just
Yeah.
that's
I
just
guess
a
they
summary. Same thing we said. Like,
I guess they're just leaving it up to your imagination. Like, I mean, some of it I get, I guess.
I mean,
Some
it's the
things
assumption that he's going to stay in that same bedroom forever. Like, come on, you're going to get out. So what? He could be in California. I don't know where you are.
I think what she's saying is like no matter where you are, you're going to be haunted by this. And I mean, I could see that.
I could see you being haunted by it, but you're not going to find me. Like, you,
Ever.
how
Ever.
would you know?
Ever.
Unless you're really, really smart and all of a sudden know how to use computers and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? And how you
Google.
get out of the house? Like, none of it. And you're going to run the streets looking like that? Or are you just going to kill everybody from your
Yeah,
house
that whole like
too? Yeah.
yeah, right.
That's
Yeah.
not
I
fair.
mean, I did like it, but when
did
you
too.
break it down, like most horror movies, it's
Yeah.
got the ridiculous side to it.
I mean, in terms of, I think it just depends on what your expectations are, right? I mean, like I said, this is not something that would go in my Hall of Fame, but in terms of a commercial mainstream horror film, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. I would recommend it to somebody who likes horror, but doesn't love horror, because I think they would still enjoy it. So even with all the big holes, I would still, I don't know if we're getting ready to give it a
Yeah,
rating.
let's rate it. Sure.
I'm rounding up because I don't think it deserves a 2.5, but I'm going to give it a 3. And I took points off again because I feel like so much of it was what we've seen many times before. I do give it points though for what I thought were the parents were just really excellent at depicting that evil. I thought the jump scares, it got me twice and I jumped out of my chair twice. So that's saying something. And I liked that. I like the movie better when I think about it as a story from the child's point of view. It makes more sense to me because it doesn't make any sense from an adult perspective. But if you think about it starting off with this kid drawing, and I was thinking maybe this is his explanation of, this is his nightmare that he's explaining to us. And then it made more sense to me. And I did like to think of it from that perspective. So I'm going to give it, I would say it's a good 3.
Okay, I'll go next. I concur with everything you said. I think though I'll probably give it a 3.5 because I liked it a little more than you did. And I really, again, it's attributed to the actors and actresses in this. They were absolutely phenomenal and so believable. And it wasn't over the top. They didn't try to bring in a bunch of extra sensory items to make you do things. They were just, the actors were strong enough to make you feel. I mean, the little kid put his body into the motions. Like it was just, he was just
Yeah.
just absolutely great at what he did. And so for that, I'm gonna, with what you said, I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Well, I liked it more than both of you. I'm going to give it a 4 because before breaking it down, and the very first time I saw it, because I did see this in the theaters when it first came out, I mean, I was like, oh, I had no idea this thing in the wall was evil. Like, it just didn't even cross my mind that that could be. I'm like, the parents are evil. I knew it was a horror movie, but I mean, the acting was so much better than a horror movie. And I really just thought, maybe the parents kind of like the Twilight Zone, if you remember that episode when the you know beautiful beautiful blonde lady wanted this surgery and they never showed anybody else's faces, and then they showed them at the end and they all looked like monsters, pigmen and whatever. She was ashamed the way she looked because she was the odd person out. Everybody else looked like these monsters, if you all recall that. So I kept thinking maybe he's the only normal one, and the parents are evil and the thing behind the wall is like he's going to be evil because he had like a odd way about him and he didn't connect to other people. So I was thinking maybe the thing behind the wall was really nice and really trying to get out, but the parents and the little boy were going to be the evil ones. I was so shocked to find out that this thing was so nice to con him to getting out, and then just trying to put him in that cage and talk him into killing the parents and killing everybody. The acting for a horror movie, I think, was one of the best that I've seen, because horror movies, as you know, usually the acting is not good. The child was amazing. The teacher was really good, concerned. She played her role well. The mother just had me terrified. I was just convinced that the mother was some kind of like witch or something. And I felt like the father was very, I don't know, like passive or agreeance with her. I didn't feel like he had any power in the family. I wish they had not shown her the monster's face, Sarah's face, because that kind of like took away from me. The body, the gangliness had me afraid. The face kind of like, took it away from me. I was like, oh, they went a little too far. They got too close to the fire and burnt out. That's what I was thinking. But I was stunned, like stunned, because I did not see that. I had a lot of different visions, and that wasn't one of them, of her being, the way she was, evil and trying to trick. And maybe that's why they put her in there. I mean, I had empathy for her the whole movie, and then I'm like, they put you in there for a reason. Why? Maybe it wasn't just because she seemed strange. Maybe she had evil tendencies. Maybe she tried to kill. There was so much that your imagination could go to that they did not explain, and that I wish they had explained. But I guess maybe they didn't want to give you like empathy for her or anger towards her. They wanted you to have empathy for her being in that wall. I don't know. I'm giving it a 4. I liked it. Until I broke it down, I really liked it.
Even after breaking it down, I still liked it. There's just, it's a good movie. You know what I
It
mean?
is.
It's a good movie to go
It is
watch.
a good
And
movie. It's definitely a good watch. I would say it's a good watch.
I would definitely recommend it. All right,
Yes.
ladies. Well, this looks like it this time. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching Girls Talk 9.0. That's Sunchild Nunya, and I'm Willie Hollow. Until next time, peace.
Peace.